Right guys, we'll start the military poses with front double biceps. Remember the feet from the video showing quarter turns and setup. If you've not watched that video yet, go back and watch it first. So we're setting our feet up from the floor up. Remember that hip tilt. Remember as well, when you're transitioning between poses, you don't want to be breathing, you don't want to be relaxed, you're always going to be tight, but play around with doing things that make your physique look good in between the poses, because you always want to be catching the eyes of the judges, not just in the pose, but between the pose as well. So the transitions are very important. I'll show you how I set up for a double bicep. So feet planted, hips back, I'll cross my hands like this, and then I'll come up. You notice my arms are parallel with the floor here. You've got to play around with the angle, because some people look better a little bit higher, but not too high and not too low. Definitely not low. So you want to be at least parallel, maybe a touch higher, but your arm shape is going to determine where's best for you and your lat shape and waist ratio. So that's it. A lot of people struggle to activate the lats on a bicep pose, and I was struggling with that for many years, and it's just because I had a weak back and a weak connection with my lats. You've got a good connection with your back. You can imagine your lats are attached to your elbows. So you're going to pull out, and if anything, elbows go a little bit forward here. So instead of being back here, that is going to make the lat from the front look a bit thicker. Okay? Play around with your leg position. I've done this before. Sometimes if you sit back, you can get your leg lines in easier doing that. Some people go really close. Some people look better just like this. So play around with it, find your perfect spot. Next, lat spread. Same thing with the legs. Set them up. Common mistake with the lat spread, people finish with their arms far too far forward, hiding their physique. Maybe they're trying to hide the waistline, but the best way to do that is to do what I'm going to show you next. So, start with your hands in the small of your back, like this. Because when we then pull round, we're going to push our waist in, hands are going to finish in our sides, and that is going to create a nice shape illusion. Look how much I pinch there. It's about this much. So my waist looks this thin instead of this big. So start from the back. That means you're going to finish in your side. Fist your sides. Contract your lats. Hip tilt back. Stand tall. Some people on this one like to squeeze their chest. I find that just doesn't work for me, but if you've got a really crazy full chest, major striations, might work for you, so try it. And that's the top tip for the lat spread. We'll go to the side. So on this one, we're looking at the feet. Our toe wants to be around the back heel towards the mid of the foot. See there? What we're trying to do with the back leg and our front leg, to get the best out of the hamstring here, we want to be pushing that side leg over against this leg. Because you can imagine you're squashing your hamstring against it, this leg is pushing the hamstring out. So that's what we're doing with the leg, pushing the hamstring out. You want to play around with how low you need to go. You can see there I've got some crazy detail, or maybe you can see on the camera, I can see it in the mirror. I've got some nice detail if we go really low, but I was always told to stand a little bit taller, because with how tall I am, make the most of your benefits. So being short and squat like this is taking away my height and stature. So I was always a little bit taller. What you want to do here, and this takes a bit of practice, you want to contract your glutes not your hamstring. Look what happens when I contract my hamstring. My hamstring goes shallow. Look what happens when I relax it. Contract, relax. But I can still contract my glute without contracting my hamstring. See? That is a mind-muscle connection that you've got to basically practice and master yourself. You will be able to contract the glute without contracting the hamstring. You don't want to contract the hamstring from the side, and that goes for a side tricep. I won't go over this again for that pose, because you're going to make that hamstring pull up, and it's going to have no drop, unless you've got a crazy big hamstring where you can contract it and it still looks crazy. But anyway, we're going to have that hamstring relaxed. Our glute's going to be contracted. We're going to place our back arm, which is my left arm, on my right wrist. And I'm going to grab my wrist like that. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to contract my lat so I'm as wide as possible, and I'm going to squeeze my arm down against my lat. But not too much. I'm actually going to leave my arm here, not here. Leave it there and you'll see why. So lat's contracted, elbows kind of out here. And from there, we're going to twist there. Now the reason why I've left my elbow out is because you will look bigger than going like this. That just looks awkward. So out and twist. Now, some people will go like this, but that's going to make it look very odd. You want to stay shoulder to shoulder, perfectly in line. So remember, shoulder to shoulder, there. If you haven't got great obliques, great abs, you can show them, go a bit lower. You can do a bit of this, whatever works well for your physique. But the aim of the game here, like the quarter turn pose, is to get rotation as much as possible so you look as wide as possible. If we're dead side on, then it might look great in a picture and it might look classic because it's how Arnie used to do it, but we're losing a lot of size, a lot of width from our actual structure. See how much bigger you can make yourself look there? Make the most of it. Show as much of your physique as you can. The aim is obviously to lift this chest up, keep it big, show off those striations when you get lean enough, and pull that shoulder across so you look nice and wide. Really the same thing with the tricep. Same set with the legs. I'm going to take a deep breath before I turn. So again, you can go like this. Deep breath here. Blow out. Now, the side tricep is the hardest pose to keep everything tight and keep your breathing on point. It's just practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice through your off season is going to set you up for a great prep. So don't slide practice in an off season just because you're fat or fatter. Practice through your off season. Side tricep in any case as well. What our body and brain wants to do to make it easier is twist the legs forward. In these side poses, you've got to keep your legs facing that way, because once you do this, again, offsets your shape and your structure and you look smaller. So whilst we're tilting around here, our legs need to be constantly going the opposite direction. Right, so both side poses, both front poses, rear poses. Biggest thing we're going to learn on the rear poses is contracting the hamstring from the back. It is the hardest thing I found throughout my career as a bodybuilder, posing the hamstring. So, I actually pose my lat spread with both feet together because I think it looks better. And I'm in the IFBB, you are allowed to do that. In other federations, you may have to put the leg back. So we're going to concentrate on the leg back for the bicep shot and the lat spread today. So, in order to set up, a lot of people will feel their hamstring just to get that connection right. You know, do what you need to do. Once it's planted, some people turn their heel inwards. I actually found that my trick was to turn the heel outwards. Now, I've got a bit of a groin strain, that's actually hurting my groin doing that, but play around with your feet. I found that turning my heel out kept my hamstring on, because you can feel it on, but then a lot of people lose the connection and it drops out and you lose the lines. Another thing is when you contract your glutes to get those glutes in, so if we were setting up from the back, we'd set up here and I'd want my glutes nice and tight, so I'd hip thrust forward a little bit, but for some people that gets rid of the hamstring completely. So it's about playing around with that. But if you push your glutes out, you're most probably going to lose the striations. So it's about what looks best, what you're trying to show. In any case, what you're trying to do, in every case in bodybuilding, is show as much as you can. So you could show glutes in and then push glutes out. What glutes out is going to do, so glutes in, glutes out. Glutes out is going to showcase your lower back more. Right, so we always want to be as wide as possible, don't forget that. Once our legs are set, for the rear double bicep, we're going to go round. Now what we're doing with our arms here is we're trying to rotate back, and that is rotation in the shoulder, like this. If your rotation's poor, you're going to struggle to display a good rear double bicep, because what you're going to have to do to show your biceps is lean back. And when you lean back too much, you're going to create shadows, you're going to hide your physique. So in any case, what's best to do to show that bicep peak, because if you can't rotate, it's going to look super flat, and it probably looks super flat there. But watch my bicep when I rotate here. Yeah? You can see the peak. Same with the front. In the sense that we don't want to be too low and maybe not too high. So a nice middle ground. Rotate backwards. And what you want to do as well, once we've rotated backwards, you want to force elbows down without pulling them down. Just imagine forcing them down, and that's going to contract muscles in your back. So tense, rotate, push down. Rotate, push down. So that's the tips for the back double bicep. Now we'll go for the lat spread. As I said, I set up my feet like this for the lat spread. Same rules apply. I start in the small of my back, strings to elbows, spread those lats as far as possible. What some people do to make sure they connect with the lats and imagine spreading them out like a piece of paper as wide as possible is do a little bit of a lean forward. So they'll set like this, they'll lean forward and then come back. Remember the judges are down there, so like a little subtle lean back will help you here. But that's about it. The lat spreads really are all about connection with the muscle. You've got to master that. They're the tips to get the shape right, get the poses right, but your lat spread will get better, like all other poses, when you connect with the muscle as well as possible. Abs and thighs. Now, you can set your legs up like normal. You've probably all seen my legs on an ab shot. I like to do this. I just think it creates a nice shape. You're going to raise your arms up. You take a deep breath when you raise them up, because what you're going to do when you crunch your abs, you're going to expel all that air out. So, deep breath. There you go. So I'm going to manage to hold that pose for quite a while because I've been doing it a long time, although I've not posed for a long time. But posing fitness is what's going to allow you to hold those poses. So practice makes perfect. Once you're in the ab pose, you can do all sorts of things like turn to the side, show your obliques, show feathers in your legs. Just play around with different things that make your physique look good. But that's about it for the abs. With your arms, you've got to, again, play around with where your lats look the best, where your arms look the best. I find if my hands are here, behind my head, not up here, behind my head, but down behind, like my neck, that looks best for me. And again, midsection control. Look what happens to the waist. Breathe out. See what happens when I'm able to contract my obliques and pull them in? You lose an extra inch of side off your waist. So rather than just being like this, I don't know if you can see that because of the light, but it gets a lot tighter. So ab control, super, super important. A few ways to the most muscular. Again, leg setup, leg positioning. I like the hands on the hips. You don't want your hands too low. You want it nice, so your thumbs are in that like V, yeah? You're gonna push in to contract your chest. Remember the abs. You don't want to lean too far forward. You want to stand a bit tall. Remember to tense the arms, triceps, shoulders. I always found a crab pose maybe look a bit narrow, but if you want to show some traps, you can rotate, roll your traps forward, give it one of them. Hands clasped together. You've got to play around with these poses. Make sure they look good for you, because like I said, for me, crab pose, I didn't think it looked very good. But for the right person with the right physique, it looks amazing. So you've got to play to your own strengths. There's no really right poses and wrong poses in terms of how you pull them off. You've got to pull them off to suit your physique. So guys, please comment below. Hope you liked the video. Hope it's helped. Please put any questions in there for feedback, pointers, or anything else you'd like to see. But from me, the Giant, peace out for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay massive and good luck in whatever you're doing, whatever you're competing in, whatever competition you're doing. Go smash it.